But if someone owns a 200-acre farm in a R5 district, it's still considered R5.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got a 200-acre farm and you want to say no, and this has already been to the planning commission, and yeah, I want to put special use permits on it. I'd rather see you can go in front of the planning commission and discuss it on an individual basis than to just say no to everything. And that's what you're doing, is just saying no. I mean, let
I'm not
them
saying no to
meet.
everything, I'm saying no in it's the
Well,
comprehensive plan.
a lot of your district is R5.
All of our district, well, not all of it, some of it isn't, that's true. But it's the comprehensive plan, Carrie. If we're not following this book, then why do we even need to spend the money to revise it?
Can I just say
Sorry.
one thing, that the existing solar ordinance does not have any limitation on how big a installation can be. So you could have a 200-acre parcel that has almost a 190-acre solar farm on it, as the ordinance exists today. The ordinance that's been on the books for some time and has not been challenged. Yeah, was not challenged when it was enacted. So if the committee doesn't agree on something tonight, that stays in place.
Right, and Steve, the problem was, we weren't being real smart. And I was part of this original solar ordinance, and believe me, I've learned a lot since then. And I've learned a lot about the wind turbine ordinance too. So that's why I think we need to really step up to the plate and protect what we've got. Because otherwise, it's just gone. It's just gone.
So do you want?
I mean, we talk about the trestle trail tonight, and what a great unique thing is, and it's, you know, everybody's on their bike going out to Scalings. Well, yeah, they're going out to Scalings, but, you know, do they want to fly down the trestle trail past commercial power installations? I mean, we helped Burrville by a resolution. We all voted to support Burrville and their power plant.
We didn't all.
4-1, sorry, that's true. But we can't protect our own town. I don't get it, I don't get it.
Ryan, I've got a question.
Yes.
Now that you're in the planning department, et cetera, my understanding is that with the two developments that are already before planning, with the amount, the size of those, that the infrastructure isn't even there to go any higher than that as far as the capacity of any of the lines. That's the, you know, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, so that's what we're being told by Mr. DePasquale with his 7-megawatt facility, that the two facilities under consideration will eat up all of the existing capacity. And I will say existing capacity. And you're aware that Mr. DePasquale ran some of that capacity out there to begin with for his wind turbine
capacity.
So the question then becomes, when does the next person come along and run out additional capacity out there? How much will it cost? Is it cost effective for anybody to do? I don't know.
Yeah.
But what we're being told is
substantial investment.
Without a very substantial investment, there won't be any more.
Okay. Now, from the early discussions, et cetera, over here, didn't we use the town of Hopkinson's zoning ordinance to model all this after? Well, they just approved a 13.7 megawatt, facility down there, on 73 acres of land. 13.7 megawatts, and that comes from the same, the same ordinance. So the town, any town council that's sitting there wants to,
The Hopkinton also, they have a comprehensive plan that is not expired. They also had an ordinance in place. They also did their due diligence, and their applicant went before DEM and got all their permits before they started doing anything. Now, who are the two developers that are pending and planning?
WED
Yeah.
and Nexamp.
Okay, oh, really? So you've got Nexamp, who is also a CPACE contractor, and WED, what is it, Newport Renewables? Is that
Newport Renewable Energy.
two CPACE contractors? Isn't that convenient? Have they, because I went on the DEM website, I couldn't find any DEM permits. They've already clear cut the land, am I correct in saying that?
Well, my understanding is, so far as WED goes, is that there have been some issues out there. I don't know the current status of DEM permits. With respect to Nexamp, my understanding from reviewing the plans is that they have stayed out of the wetlands areas. They haven't started work out there, but their proposal avoids all of the areas that would be within DEM's jurisdiction, so they wouldn't need any DEM.
Okay, so they wouldn't need any, okay. But, so so Hopkinton, when they did it, I mean, did you look at all the meeting minutes prior to their approval?
No, I did not.
Okay, yeah, they did their due diligence. They certainly, and it appears that it was at a gravel bank also, so they did clear cut some trees. There were a lot of concerns about that.
I don't know how true, I don't know, the number I heard was 310,000 trees.
They cut down quite a few trees, exactly. It's gonna be the largest, what was it? It's quite a few, but it appears that they're not gonna allow any more back in that area. That'll be it for them. But I mean, I understand that, but I didn't check, I didn't have time to go and pull their ordinance to see if that was even allowed. I mean, I don't know what theirs is, I mean, or their comprehensive plan, what it did state. But they were working with a comprehensive plan. Ours is out of date. We're doing everything. We're gonna allow something like this, and we're not even working off our comprehensive plan. It's just, I don't know, it just seems.
Well, that's your opinion.
It is my opinion, and I just need to make, I just need to get it out. People move to Coventry because of the rural, it's so, it's so unique. Coventry is so unique. You can have the city like where I live, and then you get the rural where Karen and some of the folks live. That's what makes it unique. You allow something like this, you're not gonna have that. That's what draws people to the town of Coventry. Who's gonna wanna come here? Why would you wanna live here when you've got things like that back there? You have commercial. You're going to lose that. You're gonna lose that for our town. That is just disappointing that some folks don't understand it.
Hold down the applause,
Okay.
we know you're here.
You know how many times I've been in the middle of one of those parcels out in the west that somebody privately owns, et cetera, and then, it's gonna disturb me that they wanna do something, or at least have the capability to come and ask to do something with their property. That's the idea of a special use permit, and that's the trust that we should have in the planning commission, to be able to look at some of these things as well. Again, there were private individuals that were done, and Mrs. Carlson, we were all part of that we were on that 2012.
No, we weren't elected then.
Oh, well, I beg to differ that.
No. The PPA was in July, we got elected in November.
Right, we came in.
And then we
November.
started, I at least
We
started.
started going to a number of different things.
Right, but by then it was too late. There was nothing we could have done to stop 10 turbines.
Well, again, the turbines that were there, but there were, again, those things went, before the zoning, et cetera.
And they bypassed
et cetera.
planning.
The first one that came on was, again, but those, I don't know how those agreements, and it took all of us by surprise too.
Yeah.
So, it took everybody by surprise. The numbers, that, again,
And
maybe because we weren't looking at the zoning, et cetera. But again, those were different things that, the owners were able to, they made their own private deals, et cetera. Again, but the town is, the original agreement was, with the first two, have to do with the lowering our electrical costs, et cetera.
And we don't know if that's happened yet.
Well,
but we're
again,
still waiting.
again, nobody can tell the future,
But I just want to comment on the farms out, the land out in green with that comment.
Yeah.
And someone wants to put something out there, that is for their own benefit. Now,
Yes.
we are talking about these solar power plants that are planning on going out there. There's not going to be any benefit to anyone in the town. This is power that's going to be a commercial entity is going to come in, build this, it is going to go out. We're not the town, none of the taxpayers are going to benefit from this. The only person that's going to benefit is that landowner. How wealthy are they going to become? But they're going to go and destroy the land out there and for their neighbors, just for their their own.
In essence, who's to say it's destroying the land? Who's to say it's not preserving the land for future? Because there is no construction other than that in the middle of that. So, nobody's to say it's gonna destroy the land, because in 25 years, when that lease is up, the lease that they have, it can return right back to its original state.
And you won't have forest up there though.
Well, and the other thing about the land is
Is
we're
that the
all on
landowner's
the wells.
choice?
No, because we're all, well,
But they-
Why isn't it the
but they-
landowner's choice
but
when
they
we don't
purchased-
have a timber cutting ordinance in place where they can pretty much cut
However-
whatever they wanted?
However, they purchased their land knowing what, they don't know the zoning, they go out there and they have no idea. I'm always told, do your due diligence. I did my due diligence. I know when I purchased my land,
Yeah.
things I can and can't do. You go and buy a farm, you should know there's not a commercial entity out there. You can't have commercial enterprise out there. Now, all of a sudden, now that they purchased their land and they now want to go and change the rules, you can't, why should they be able to change the rules
I would
and
just
impact
say
everyone
again,
else?
the rules right now are that they can have a solar or installation, and they can have it right up to the setback. So what you're dealing with right now is an ordinance that's in existence that's much more permissive than what you're
right,
doing.
that's why we're sitting here tonight trying to fix it.
So if,
And before that, when we had none, just a year ago.
they were allowed, so
So we did put one in place.
if
Yeah.
you can't come to some agreement on what the ordinance should look like and vote on it tonight, by default, you're going to the old one, which is much more permissive.
Right.
So I would just, and this,
Go.
I'm just advising on kind of procedure, not the substance. But I would suggest that, given what you want to happen tonight, that you make a motion or complete your motion that does that. And then let someone, if they disagree with it, move to amend in a certain respect. And that way, you just, one by one, you have some options as to what to vote on. Because if you just, I think if it's just general discussion all night, by default, you will end up with your old ordinance.
Thank you.
Well, I'm for keeping special use permits. I don't agree with putting not permitted to R5s, R3s, R2s. That's just me. I mean,
But that's not in compliance, Carrie, then I don't see how we could be, in all good conscience, how we could vote to not be compliant with the comprehensive plan. Why would we have one if we don't follow it?
the comprehensive plan is in the process of being redone also, am I correct?
But what we're working with is that
what
right
this
now.
one is, yeah. Just like having a budget. And I think that section's really
I
important.
think they should have the opportunity to appear in front of the planning commission and discuss what they want to do and go by special use permit, period. That's my view.
No, it was a 3-3 vote.
No, he said.
Oh.
No,
What?
he said he wants it as
Special use permit.
in front of the plan.
And I'm sorry, but I don't trust the planning or the zoning department, commissions and boards to make the right decision.
Well, I do.
10-1.
Well, you haven't got some meetings. I gotta tell you, that's a good
Because
education.
that way it's gonna be
And then you've
less.
got groundwater to worry about. If you put a commercial development out there, you've got groundwater to get all our wells.
You have a well?
No, I do not. No.
So then we're gonna vote on this.
And growing cranberries is not like
Yeah.
photovoltaic solar panel.
What's your concern with the well water versus for solar installation?
Because you can have leakage and they have chemicals. I have a list of chemicals right here.
I'm all set.
I think we need to limit the number in town. I think we need to take the special use permit out. I'd like to also limit the size of even if it's on the landfill, I think we have to be smart about limiting the size of the installation.
What number would you like?
I don't know, I'm looking, it's for someone. The 40,000 square feet to 200,000 square feet, if it was on a major installation on a commercial property, I don't think that's a problem. I'm sorry, page 3. No.
the size, and I think that's too small.
Well,
So you're already
20,000 square feet, that's a half
you're,
acre.
you're already limiting, so they're not allowed at all in the residential districts.
No, but if they were to go
In a
to
commercial district.
center of New England, or they were to go to the landfill on our road,
They're
But
still
we're not
limited.
eliminating it in residential district, it hasn't been
No,
decided
that's
yet.
the
Right.
motion that
Right,
she's
that's what she
formulating.
made the motion. Still has to be voted on.
I'm just trying to keep track of what the motion is.
Yes, so am I. All right, so the motion is right now, change the four S's up top to N. And then no motion on the size. Is that it on page 3?
well, actually,
leave it
it's
as is.
4, 6, 8 S's, R20 through 5, or 5 through 20, depending on which way you're reading it. For only major and medium, because those would be commercial,
You're including the 4 for medium.
right? Because that's
So
also
that'd be a
commercial
total.
size.
So keep in mind that the other limitation on size is lot coverage.
Right,
That's
that's been
part of it, so
15%?
it's either 10 or 15%, but depending upon what you folks decide. But as far as, something that would go on a commercial lot, it would still have to meet the town's lot coverage
Lot
requirements.
coverage.
So if it already has a large building on a commercial lot, unless they do rooftop, they're probably going to be very limited as to what they can do with solar.
So for instance, our landfill, what is being capped right now, when that's finished being capped, and we want to put a solar installation on, we can only put 10% of that whole land as a landfill.
It depends on what the commercial, let's see,
But would that apply to the municipality? It's our property.
can we accept the municipality from?
I don't recall.
Yes, the municipalities are exempt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the landfill's exempt, right?
We exempt it.
I think it just makes it more clear cut if you take it out, take the commercial out of the residential areas.
Let me ask a question, non-conforming lots, that's another concern I have.
Yep.
Is that in every R5, R3, would that be, that's a lot that's not meeting the square footage? Is that, am I correct in saying that?
Well, I mean, a non-conforming lot can be non-conforming for a lot of different reasons, whether it's area or frontage.
Setback.
And it could be in any zone?
Yeah.
Because they couldn't agree on, not, I think that should go in front of the planning commission, and maybe there is a non-conforming lot that would be able to utilize it for the solar installation. And the planning commission also could not come up to a consensus on that.
Was that one of the ones they couldn't come to
Yes, it
consensus
was.
on?
It's
I
on
thought.
page 4. Page 4.
On page 4
Yeah.
of
Comment.
the ordinance?
Yeah, it's comment BW4.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so in any event, the motion that's now being formulated is, the table has been modified, and what was your,
The size in commercial,
they're all,
major.
okay, so majors are only, under your proposal, they're only allowed in commercial
Right.
Yeah,
So they would be VRC, VMC, general business, industrial 1 and industrial 2.
And right now, they're limited to 10 or 15% of lot coverage. Is there some further limitation in the commercial areas that you would look at?
No,
Any,
because that's already existing, the 10 and 15 is
But
existing.
they also, they recommended to go to 15%, the planning commission.
it's,
Is that where we're at, 15%?
Well, we're at 10 right now.
this is
But they
recommending,
were following the nursery, what was it, Brian? The 10 and 15% the nursery sold?
The 10% was based on greenhouses and nurseries, but I think the solicitor had identified a problem with the coverage. Steve, didn't we
Yes, so-
identify an inconsistency in the ordinance
the
that
question
created a
is,
problem?
as it's written, if you have a home, you're allowed 15% lot coverage, and for a greenhouse, you're only allowed 10.
10.
And the question was, what happens when someone has a home and then decides to put a greenhouse? And the recommendation was that that should default to 15% in all circumstances.
I have no problem with that.
So if you are, so that's a limitation that would apply to all districts, that 15%. If you go to, if you were just to say, we're going to use what's existing right now for lot coverage for those areas, they vary from, 55 to 70% maximum lot coverage in table 6.3 of the.
That's not in the residential zone, so that's
No, that's
in
the
the
commercial.
industrial and commercial zones.
Those are my recommendations.
Okay, so we then have the motion is that the table's changed, as you indicated, and was there another?
Then the 15%
Applies to all minor and medium and major, which is the way it's written at present.
in commercial.
It's written so that it applies to all.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. And
Alright.
since they're only allowed in commercial, that would be.
okay, that's true, all right. And I guess the other question is, do we put something in here to limit the number of installations? I mean, do we want installations everywhere in the allowable areas, which would be the commercial areas? And how many do we think we want in town? Anybody?
Not up to
Oh,
us.
the whole thing about limiting the number, we have to, I mean, in the commercial area, they could be on their roof, they could be on the ground.
Rooftop is handled differently than ground mounted,
Well, the
so
rooftop, I think we all thought that was homes, residences,
it's homes or any,
and, but businesses, not,
it's open homes.
because you're not gonna have. Do we want to take these individually, or do we want to take them all together?
Your motion.
The other question I would have is, I did provide some suggested edits to deal with a number of the planning commission's recommendations, and those are in the red line and strikeout versions that I gave you. I tried to address page 3 of the Planning Commission's memo, numbers 5 through 11. I think I addressed all of those suggestions. in the, what?
Where?
Page 3, this one.
Of the planning commission's
Oh,
May
sorry.
24th memo, if you go to page
Sorry.
3, numbers 5 through 11, those were all more substantive changes that I could use to give you some recommended edits to the proposed ordinance as it exists, and that was the red line and strikeout version that I gave.
So they're in here now?
Yeah,
They're in
in here
there.
now?
Yeah,
Okay.
that changes.
All right, so-
I didn't change anything on the first 4 because they were very policy oriented and I needed to leave that to you guys, but the rest of them were more direct, so I could craft some language that would implement those, if you choose to accept them.
Well, I think the way we're proceeding is that they're considered accepted unless in your motion you change that. So what's here, the red lines and the added language are what's being considered and will be approved.
That's,
Unless the motion changes.
I think I have to disagree with you on that, Steve, because the underlying ordinance here, without the red line and strikeout, is what was sent down to the planning commission. They did not make any changes to it, so that's what's
Exactly.
under consideration.
Which is what the ordinance requires, is that
I
you report back.
took what they put in their memo, and I came up with these things,
I
so
understand that.
they would still need to adopt those.
Absolutely,
Okay.
I totally understand that. What I'm saying is that what you are considering right here, when someone makes a motion to approve the ordinance with some changes, what you are talking about is all of the language that's here, including the crossed outs. Those do not exist in the ordinance that you're considering. So, just so we're all singing from the same hymn book, if you're making changes, it's to this ordinance that you're reading right now.
In all of Brian's, his red indicators.
What's crossed out is crossed out unless you indicate otherwise, and what's added is added unless you indicate otherwise.
Okay, do you have one more, I have another question on page 7 of the ordinance itself. Setbacks and coverage under B. Lot coverage limitations may be increased to the level associated with a single-family dwelling when a single-family dwelling use is combined with a medium and major solar installation on a lot. That would change if we don't have a special use permit.
That was the issue that the solicitor was just talking about. So if you had it combined, it would go up to the 15%.
Okay, that was where you
So
were.
that was
Yeah.
covered then.
Okay.
And I would just suggest that whoever makes a motion, that should read medium or major solar installation on a lot. I think it's more accurate.
And that could be added to my motion, to change the and to the or.
Yep.
I apologize for taking all this time, but I just think we've got to get this right. It's just really important to get it right.
There's a motion on the floor.
Are you done with your?
I think so. What? Oh, she did.
Okay. So right now, just again, from a procedural standpoint, you can have discussion, which has already taken place to a certain extent. But also someone could move to amend that motion. And then you would consider that amendment if it was seconded. Does that make sense?
I'm just letting you know that I can't support it with not having special use permits.
So what I would suggest,
Well, no,
I will.
I would suggest you make a motion to amend.
But you know what, when
No,
it
there's
comes
no
to
need,
your
no need.
district, let me know how it goes.
So you see what I'm saying? You move to amend, to perhaps change those all back to S's and whatever other changes you have. If there's a second on your motion, then you vote on the ordinance as amended by Ms. Carlson's amendments or changes and your amendments there too. Does that make sense? And I think that's the only way to do it, where you're going to be able to have something on the table to consider. If that fails, you go back to what Ms. Carlson suggested, and you'll vote on that.
Or the her motion.
Yeah, why don't, if we just vote on hers and if theirs doesn't pass, then we go right back to the way it is now.
You can do it however you'd like.
That,
I'm just saying,
That makes the most sense to me. I mean,
What I'm saying.
well, in other words, you've got a motion on the floor to go to the ends. And again, I don't know if this 15% limit got put in or not. But if yours does not pass, and I know it was seconded, then we go right back to where we started from.
Someone can make another motion.
Can I ask a question before we get to that point? Has Deep Pasquale or Nexamp reached out to any of the council members to discuss anything with their projects?
Not me?
Really?
Yes. I'm not on trial yet, I said no, period, okay?
And those projects are grandfathered under the.
Yeah, they're
Yes, they are, but
grandfathered anyhow.
it's still a question.
Okay, so, again, right now, I guess we have a motion on the floor and a second to change the S's under R5, R3, R2, and R20, both from major and minor to N. And was there one more addition to your motion, or was that it?
I think that was it, that was it. You didn't,
You didn't come up with the size because it's
size
$200,000.
or- because I think that the lot coverage was what was gonna control there. And I don't think you came up with a limitation on the number of projects that can be done.
Right. Who decides that?
I think the only other thing was changing the and to the or on page
The
7.
and or, yeah. On page 7.
And I would just say whatever, if there are minor, the council authorize solicitor to make any minor typographical or grammatical changes that need to be made to implement their, the intent of their ordinance. So if by virtue of a change, some other section doesn't make sense anymore, we'll change that so that it all it conforms. For instance, I would just give you an example, just so we're clear. On page 5, 2143, it now says all major solar installations require issuance of a special use permit. I guess that would remain true, but for instance, if you said they were permitted.
But it would change if it was an and. Yes.
No, because they're just not allowed in those districts where they are.
Okay.
I think this would be where they are allowed,
Okay.
they're required special use permit.
Okay,
Which is true. But something like that, I apologize, we would change to make it conform with what you're trying to.
Thank you.
all right, again, on the amendment and the second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so that takes care of that one. Now, going back to the way it is now, which is S's, everything else has been articulated in red, right, Brian, that you've added, that, regarding the planning commission concerns.
Correct. Everything
List them
everything that
all.
was specific enough to be
Right.
reduced to
Right.
an amendment,
There you go.
I took care of.
All right. All right, do I have a motion then to approve the ordinance before us, as, I guess as is?
Yeah, I mean, I've got some other things.
Well, did you motion to then make an amendment?
Yeah, well, the motion to, I'll make a motion on something. First of all, on the definition. You said that
What
there was an
page?
number, page 3, the definitions. My question becomes, it was an arbitrary, it was a number that you just pulled off the 200,000 square feet or 40,000 square feet. That was just a number.
I was trying to come up with a middle ground.
Yeah, with a middle ground, whereas if we don't come up, I mean, if we go to a 15%, in essence, if it's a 15% lot coverage of a 100-acre parcel, that becomes, 15 acres, which is a lot more than, than 200,000.
Correct, and you would be capped, but you wouldn't be able to use the entire 15%.
If we use it as 200, and left it at
Right.
200,000.
Correct.
On 200,000 square feet, which is 4.59 acres. Okay.
So wouldn't it just be good if we could say 15% of the property? and-
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, under the definition, it's showing 40,000 to 200,000 square feet. I will,
Well, all you would have to
I will
say is
remove that.
40,000 square feet and above, and then the 15% would kick in under lot coverage.
Exactly,
But
that's,
isn't there an issue if you have a dwelling?
It's
You have to
It would still be 15% coverage.
but they're saying 50% of the whole entire lot. You have to discount that portion where the dwelling is, or the building.
Yeah.
The building would be part of the
part of that
15%.
15%.
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
So, motion to remove that 200,000 square feet.
So it would read an area of 40,000 square feet or more.
Because it's a 40,000, we are at on the medium, or I'm sorry, above that. It occupies an area of 40,000 too, so above, so I don't know, it's going to put nature of the development on top of it.
So just period after square feet, 40,000 square feet.
Yep.
That's your amendment.
40,000 above, well, okay, that's.
Or above?
Well, yeah,
or
40,000 or above.
Yep.
Because then the 15,000, like you said, the 15% is going to kick in as a top number as opposed to, 200,000. Okay, on, the page 5, my question comes when, for instance, on the roof-mounted solar installations, which they had nothing to do with the planning commission, but F and G, the maximum size shall be determined by the building official. Based on structural limitations. I mean, wouldn't the company proposing to do that know what the limitations of do you think, Brian?
Right, yeah, I mean, any company coming in worth its salt
Yeah.
is not going to propose something that's going to cause your roof to collapse, but ultimately it's the building inspector who is going to sign off on that proposal.
Yeah, but over here it says it shall be, the maximum size and area shall be determined by the building official. I'm curious, is that commonplace in other, other towns, other areas that are?
I mean, we could change determined to approved.
Yeah,
I think that might be a little bit more accurate.
Yeah, exactly. Something where it's approved by them, obviously when it comes to plan, any of the roof-mounted type of things, the building official is probably not an expert on solar installations.
Well, I'm wondering now, is it,
They're going to be, given the new universal building and electrical code
okay.
that the legislature just.
Okay, all right, that's, all right.
I think approved makes sense, though.
Yeah. okay.
approved versus determined?
Determined, yeah. That's all I got. All right, and then the other one too that I've got, where it's page 6, down at the bottom, A1, the proposed site layout detailing any landscape changes, including but not limited to any clearing of trees or forest that has occurred during the 24 months prior to application. I don't know why that should even make a difference on there, whether someone had cleared it, clear the property 24 months. In other words, in supplemental design standards. I don't know what.
I think what we're trying to capture with that is the true extent of the proposal by the solar installation, and we don't want somebody who is foresighted enough to come in and clear an entire lot and then come back in a few months and say, oh, I have a great lot for this, it's already cleared.
Yeah.
We want to be able to consider the impact of clearing the lot to put solar.
All right, good. That's why I want an explanation there. Page 7, number 5, top of the page. A decommissioning plan, including proof of financial surety. I mean, I mean, the decommissioning plan obviously is not set for some time way out in the future. And as far as surety is, you know, I haven't spoken to anybody in the solar business or whatever else, but how difficult is it going to be for us to enforce a surety on a bond, or knowing that they even have surety 20 years from now?
Well, I mean, that's why you're asking for some form of guarantee that assets will be available to take it down in the future. I don't foresee these installations being highly speculative in the amount it's going to cost to take them down.
Right.
Pretty much, you know what you're going to do. You're going to come in, you're going to cut everything off, and most of the stuff is going to wind up being recycled. The panels themselves, there are industries being set up to recycle those panels, and I believe those industries will grow as more and more of these facilities hit their 20, 25-year lifespans. And there are many of the things that Councilwoman Carlson refers to as being toxic are also highly valuable metals for recycling purposes.
So just for your information, section K on page 9, kind of more it details the surety process. It indicates that it has to be established, how it's established, who it's approved by, and it has to include a mechanism for calculating increased removal costs for inflation.
Okay, all right, and I see, as determined by the planning commission. Okay.
So there's some degree of it, some discretion, et cetera.
Right, I had that checked off with respect to the planning commission as well, too. All right. And I said, I mean, other things, I've got checked off. I don't necessarily, have a problem with certain things. I just see them as maybe a little bit, a shading analysis, and a viewscape analysis from something that might be, we know we've got at least a 40-foot buffer, happening in there. Is that something normal, a viewscape?
Well, I mean, with the shading analysis, we'd like to be sure that people aren't clearing any more than they need to protect the solar area from shade. There's certain levels, so there may be a lot of low stuff that can stay on the ground closer to the installation, and a lot of people will just be tempted to obliterate everything rather than leave what they can. The viewscape analysis, I think we want somebody in presenting a proposal to the Planning Commission to come forward and say, all right, here's what we're able to show you about the ability of this facility to be seen, whether it's from a street, given the buffers that are going to be required, whether it's from a hill a couple of miles away that might be a known viewing point. We'd like them to all take that into consideration and present it as part of their proposal.
Okay, great. You were up to where the planning commission was unable to reach, which I'm suggesting that's what you said from number 5 on there is where they had made their suggestions, and the first 4 is you didn't put the thing in.
Yeah, the first 4 were too vague for me to do specific edits based on. The last 5 through 11, I think I was able to do edits based on.
And then the recommendation to change, to make that 15% in the motion, the top number, I think we said it before, but I think I put it in the motion.
So your motion is just to make it 15% in all instances?
15%, yeah, as opposed to, no 15 and 10, but obviously whatever the house lot, if there's something, that we would go through. Okay, and then another one that is on page 8, top of page number 4, existing vegetation shall be supplemented to additional native species, all right, where necessary to ensure. Obviously if there's, does that mean like underbrush is what, or in natural vegetation? I mean,
Knowing that we want buffers to limit the visibility of these installations, if you have a natural area that happens to be thin, you get a lot of pine areas where the lower branches have either fallen off or gone dead. We could supplement that with some undergrowth so that to restore the visual buffer.
With seed, with full, with bushes.
Again, we would leave that up to the applicant to propose. If they want to bring in shrubs, however they want to do it.
And their proposal to the planning commission.
Correct.
Right, financial security with the surety.